All right, guys, in today's video, we have a lot of new PlayStation information to go over and talk about, so we're just going to jump right into it. But before we do, if you could do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you hit the bell notification icon to help the video out and show your support. But we're starting with a follow-up on the secret PlayStation 5 exclusive launch title that Sony is apparently going to be revealing within the next couple of weeks, potentially. We first heard about this from Moore's Law is Dead, where he talked about the next God of War being announced sometime soon, and it will be ready to go sometime in 2021, and that it's further along in development than people might think. But he also talked about a second, very secret exclusive game that Sony has been holding on to that they are going to have ready for the launch of the PlayStation 5, and this is going to be a big deal. But he wouldn't say what this game was. The only hint he really gave us was that it's going to be a game that is a revival of a franchise that is heavily associated with PlayStation, and that's all we know. Now, this follow-up comes from industry analyst Benji Sales over on Twitter, where I think he was doing a live Q&A on his YouTube channel, and he talks about Sony apparently having another, seemingly, he makes it sound like it's going to be another big exclusive game ready to go at the launch of the PlayStation 5. So I'm actually going to play the clip for you here so you can listen to exactly what he had to say. So check it out.
I'm going to address this really quick because I had a feeling this would come up. Patrick here saying, "Hey Benji, yesterday you talked about PlayStation 5 having another title alongside Spidey. You said you can't say what it is yet, but will be an important one, or it's maybe on the scale of Astro's Playroom, question mark." All right, all I can say in regards to yesterday's comment is just that Spidey is not the only exclusive thing hitting, and no, I'm not counting Astrobot in that, hitting PlayStation in launch for the PS5. I can't go anything more into that.
So that's what Benji Sales had to say when he was asked about this other exclusive title that Sony is apparently going to have ready to go at the launch of the PlayStation 5. Something I do want to make clear here with this is we could very well be reading way too heavily into this. We could be reading into it way too much. He may just be talking about something that we kind of already know about, such as Godfall, potentially. We know that that's going to be there at launch. I believe there's another game called Deathloop and possibly something else. We know that there's going to be more than just Spider-Man when it comes to exclusive content that you can play on your PS5 at launch. But it seems clear to me that the person who is asking the question, and it also seems clear to me that Benji Sales is aware of the question that was being asked, is, you know, we're talking about a AAA-like game, a bigger title that has yet to be revealed. He does reference Astro and letting us know that it's not something on that scale. It's not something small. Again, he could very well be talking about games such as maybe Gran Turismo 7 or Ratchet and Clank, or even something like Returnal, games that we already know about. We just don't know when they're going to be launching. Maybe even something like Demon's Souls potentially. And he doesn't want to give it away if that's the case. Because let's be honest here, even if that is all he's talking about, and he did get this information and it is correct, he doesn't want to, you know, spoil the surprise or get himself in trouble by just blatantly saying what it is. But I think a lot of people are assuming, based off of the way he worded his response here, that he's alluding to something that has yet to be revealed. This is, again, something we've been hearing. We've been hearing Socom, we've been hearing Silent Hill, now we're hearing Metal Gear Solid. And it's really anybody's guess at this point. I don't want to lead people on and get everybody overly hyped and say, look, it's definitely going to be some massive big exclusive that nobody sees coming, because it might not be. Again, we have to understand that a lot of the titles that Sony did reveal at their June event are scheduled to hit the PlayStation 5. It seems anyway, they're scheduled to hit the PlayStation 5 within the first year or so. You know, granted, if none of these titles get delayed, which seems unlikely, but that seems to be what they were going for. So, you know, is there a chance that Sony is holding on to something, say like Socom, or just something else entirely, like Metal Gear Solid, which I think is very doubtful, but I'd love it to be true, to announce randomly and just kind of get people doubly excited for the launch of the PlayStation 5? Yeah, I think it's certainly possible, but we just don't know. And unfortunately, like, this is all we really have to go on. I know that people are getting tired of the whole, like, this person said that, this insider said this. And frankly, Benji Sales, in my opinion, he's made it very clear. If you go check his Twitter out, he's made it very clear that he does not like to be branded as an insider. And so I'm not calling him an insider. I just find his comments interesting. He does kind of, I mean, let's face it, he does kind of make it seem like he knows something that most of us do not, and he doesn't want to share it because it seems like he would get in some kind of trouble. And I don't doubt that, but I'm not going to call him an insider. I'm just going to say his comments were very interesting. And just to kind of follow up with Benji Sales here, he did actually say something else very interesting on his Twitter, which it's not really related to this secret exclusive game. But he said, here's a pretty crazy statistic coming out of the NPD, because the NPD report was just released today. Out of the 10 best-selling games of 2020 this year, 6 are currently platform exclusive. Animal Crossing, The Last of Us Part 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, MLB The Show 20, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And he says exclusives are definitely important. And so an individual on Twitter asked me what my thoughts are on this, and I said this is tangible proof that exclusives matter, and people really should stop trying to ignore that fact or downplay that fact. And that's why I just wanted to highlight this, because there's been a lot of conversation recently because of the rumors surrounding Sony having a lot of third-party exclusive content and whatnot, and because of the direction that Microsoft is going in with their exclusive content. A lot of people saying that it's anti-consumer and exclusives need to go away and they're not important, and just kind of downplaying it, right? And I'm glad that he posted this, and I'm glad, frankly, that we have this actual tangible data to prove that people care about exclusive games, right? There's a reason why these games sell so well. It's because, as I've always said, having content, having games that are developed for a piece of hardware exclusively, in order to sell that hardware, it inherently demands that the quality be higher than most other games. And I think seeing these exclusive games lined up like this, right, like 6 out of the 10 are of the best-selling games of the year are exclusive, that just proves it, in my opinion. That's over half. So just wanted to take a moment to highlight that. But moving on from that, we're talking about the cooling solution inside of the PlayStation 5, because a new patent was recently discovered. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am not diving into this patent because it's extremely complex, and I've seen a lot of people kind of mentioning this in my Twitter feed and other people talking about it, because it does seem like it's going to be a big deal if this is in fact the solution that Sony has come up with. And I'm going to be very interested to hear Sony kind of break it down. I'm assuming it will be Mark Cerny explaining this. But this patent was filed back in 2019. It just became public today. And the most important thing you need to understand about this is it's essentially saying the cooling system involves some type of liquid metal. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say, because I don't know. I'm not even going to attempt to try to explain what that could mean, how that would even work. I have absolutely no idea. And I'm going to ask anybody who's listening to this, if you know, or if you have a better idea of it, if you want to get detailed and explain it down in the comments below, feel free to do so. If you want to try to simplify it to let us know how this could even be a thing. We do have to understand this is a patent. This does not mean that this is in fact what Sony's doing for the PS5, but we did hear how they are excited apparently to show us the cooling solution in their upcoming PlayStation 5 teardown. And we did hear that apparently they did opt for a very lavish, unique, exotic, whatever you want to call it, type of cooling solution for the PlayStation 5, which I find very interesting. But the last thing I want to mention here, because we're talking about the cooling solution, is apparently Phil Spencer recently talked a little bit about the design of the PlayStation 5 as well as the upcoming Xbox, and he was asked a little bit about the cooling solution. And so it says, speaking with Animal Talking, Phil Spencer spoke at length about his thoughts on the PS5 hardware, as well as touching base on his company's own next-generation console. So this is exactly what Phil Spencer said. It's hard because I know the physics that we're both dealing with when it comes to these consoles and cooling these consoles. The power, the energy use that presents real challenges this generation. We're talking about consoles with the CPU and GPU that are real powerful computers effectively. We chose our design because we wanted a large fan that we could spin a little more slowly so we're not making noise. We wanted a very quiet console, so noise was something that we focused on. And I think, they've always done a good job with that. They ensured that the original Xbox One was going to be quiet, obviously, with how massive it was. And then with the Xbox One X, I was very impressed with how quiet they were able to keep that. He goes on to say, so we built a form, follow, function design that we could draw a lot of air with. A big fan spinning a little bit slower so we didn't get those high-pitched whining sounds that sometimes consoles can make. I don't know if he's maybe taking some shots there at the PS4 Pro, but even if he is, yeah, you're allowed to take some shots at how loud the PS4 Pro can get. And he goes on to say, I like the design of what they did, and I'm assuming he's talking about the PS5. I have a lot of respect for what the teams do at PlayStation, but they're running their box differently than we are, and it creates unique design challenges and how you keep these things cool. That's a problem for both of us, so it's not a shock, and they took an approach that is different than what we did. So, I mean, I don't know, I'm assuming with him saying this, he knows what their cooling solution is, and I think that's why he's being so vague about it, because, I mean, it would be kind of awkward if Phil Spencer was the one who ended up outing what exactly the cooling solution is for the PS5. I'm sure Sony would not be happy about that, but he just emphasizes that they're different. And so, again, this just kind of feeds into, we're going to see something very interesting and unique about the cooling solution for the PlayStation 5, and it's always interesting. I mean, let's be honest, it's always interesting to hear what Phil has to say, because the dude says some interesting things sometimes that I certainly like to talk about, but it's always interesting anytime he talks about PlayStation. In this case, it sounds like, he just feels he's trying to relate the next Xbox to the PlayStation, and maybe one of the only ways he's able to, which is they're both consoles, and they're both very powerful, and they both need cooling solutions, and so they opted to go in different directions. So just thought it was interesting. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like. Make sure you share your thoughts down in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.